Today's tour is not really like the classical sightseeing tour, because today's tour unfortunately is about this tragic event that happened, about the genocide that happened in Srebrenica in 1995. So today's tour is going to be more like a study tour, like understanding of genocide and everything that has to do with it.
If you're anything like me, here's a bit of background to this. When I was in school, I didn't really pay attention to things like history, but I realized as I grew older that history was very important, because history explains sometimes what is going on in the world today and how these things can lead to bigger events like this. In 1991, Yugoslavia, which consisted of 6 different countries, was breaking up, and the fall of communism gave rise to nationalism. And nationalism started creating lots of problems, because certain people who were living under this Yugoslavia wanted to break away and gain independence from them. And Serbia did not want to let this happen, and they wanted to maintain control of all the countries. As some countries like Croatia broke away and formed their own countries, Bosnia and Herzegovina wanted to also do the same. And that's when the problems began. You see, Bosnia was 50% Muslim, and they were known as Bosniaks. And also there was a large population of Serbians living within Bosnia, and they shared the same ideals and ideologies as the Serbians. So they were still getting support from Serbia, who commanded the largest army, which was a professional army. So they were giving them supplies to make sure that the Bosniaks do not break away. Now, I'm not going to go into any more detail than this, because I'm sure that you can go and find your own information, but I will focus on what happened in Srebrenica. In Srebrenica, the UN moved in, and there was some peacekeeping forces which took the weapons of the Bosniaks and said, we will protect you. So the Bosniaks gave their weapons to them, and they stayed in this region. And then what happened was the Serb forces, with the heavy artillery, with the weapons supplied from Serbia, came and laid siege to this town. They told the people that were seeking refuge there that you are going to be safe, come with us and we will look after you. But instead, a massacre took place.
Everywhere you go in Bosnia, you see the graffiti, you see everywhere on the streets. Never forget Srebrenica. This is part of that remembrance. This is part of the tour to remember the genocide that took place, our brothers and sisters that were butchered and killed just for being Muslim. You can see parallels with what's going on in Gaza right now. And what's going on in Gaza right now is on a much bigger scale than Srebrenica. But what can we learn is to have that resolve, have that determination to never give up on spreading the awareness for our brothers and sisters.
We're gonna drive 3 hours from here. We're gonna spend some time, like 3-4 hours in the Genocide Memorial Center, like see the video, like visit the museum. We're gonna visit the cemetery, and then we're gonna go to Srebrenica itself, the city, to walk around just to check it out. So this whole area that you see that is within the fence, so this building right there that you see, the glass one, was Dutch battalion headquarters that was used for them to orchestrate everything in this area here. Like command center for them, that's right.
For the Serbs.
For Srebrenica enclave, yeah, that's right. Because this area here was proclaimed as a safe area, as a safe zone. And these guys were like literally organizing everything within this safe area from here, from this place. They were here as peacekeepers, but they were blamed for not being able to stop, not full genocide, but at least part of it. They were proven to be wrong. Complicit, that's right, in the deaths of around 300 people. So they were technically able to save them, but they didn't. There was a French guy from UN that was like the highest general here in this area, and he was in charge of negotiating with Serb generals as well. You'll see them in the video. Now, the first thing that we're gonna do here is to go inside, check out the video, so you can be introduced with some of the things that were happening here. I have to tell you that this video is highly disturbing. Please be careful if you're not ready for it. It's like every single city had a different situation. Sarajevo and Srebrenica had the worst situations because they were under total siege. Sarajevo was completely surrounded by Serbian forces, and similar situation happened here in this town. The city of Srebrenica and this whole safe area. In Srebrenica was even worse because they had like double ring around the city, because they had UN forces surrounding them, and then there were Serb forces surrounding them as well. It's like, it was really messed up. So those two cities, I would say, that had the worst situation in this whole country.
Around this region, 2,000 people passed away. And further down here is where 6,000 people passed away. And so what they would do essentially is they would take the women and children away and separately and separate them from the men. And so there's a massive deportation thing going on with the Serbians and other things going on. So this is where we are right now as well. This is Srebrenica, which is where all the graveyards are.
Napokon došao je trenutak da se posle bude protiv Dakija, tučimo se tu na prostoru.
Do you recognize the man that was featured in that video?
لا نؤمن قانون شرك ذوي السمو السنة الذي يسمو ذوي التنفيذ.
Did you ever find out what had happened to them? Were you able to bury their remains?
Yes.
When was that?
Da li noć, da li nije, tu smo provezli. Ali su tu isto na isti način izvodili, to su smjene radile, to nije mogla.
Now, I'm not going to share with you the entire movie because some parts are just too graphic, and also it gives people an incentive to go and visit themselves and watch this movie and visit the sites and all the different locations and immerse themselves in that experience. This here is the area where they were marching through all the way up, and those shoes that you can see, the curator is leading a project that go around to these different places and they search those places and they find belongings, they find shoes, they find bags, you know, utensils, water bottles that they have used. And this is still ongoing 20 plus years later. You can see here what the journey looks like. These are the kind of terrains that they walk through. You can see, look at that, through mountain passes. It's not easy. We were hiking through Bosnia. We were hiking parts of it, and you know, it was hard. And this is us without any fear in our hearts. We were not running away from anything. We had good supplies with us. These people had to take their lifetime, whatever they could carry, leaving their possessions and belongings behind at home because they can't carry all that. Look, winding passages through the valleys. And along the way, the soldiers would come with their cars. They could go through the forests, as you can see here. Look at the kind of forests. These are the kind of things that they find. What's this? It looks like the end of a bomb or a mine or something like that. We saw this video in the documentary of the man being forced to call out. He was tricked into thinking that it's safe to come down. The people were hiding when they knew that the Serbs were coming. But the ones that got caught, this man was calling out to his son, come down, it's safe. And the moment that the son came down, with the rest of the people that were hiding, they were captured and then they were executed by the Serb forces.
So this is where the Bosniaks used to live. That's right. But not, I'm telling you, not only Bosniaks, it was a mix of Muslims and Orthodox people.
Here we have just arrived at the mass graveyard. You can see behind me.
So what we're gonna do is we're gonna walk around, check out everything. All the things that I'm gonna tell you, you already know majority of them because you guys are Muslims, so you understand some of the things. Because I'm used to explaining all of this to non-Muslim people, to non-Muslim tourists. So that's why I'm just gonna do the short version. How many people are buried right here in this spot? As you can see here, the number is 8,372. That's the number of people that were killed in this genocide. And majority of them were killed within those 5 days, from July 11th until July 16th, within that 1 week. What they're saying is that this number is not even definite, that there could be more. But this is based on all the people that were missing, people that were killed, found, you know, all of their bodies, all of their remains. They buried people here, or at least what they found, you know, what remained from all of those people is because when Serbian forces realized that they were about to lose the war, and when there were talks about this genocide, what they did is they took a lot of people, a lot of soldiers, and they gave them tasks to go around and excavate the bodies, chop them, mix them, and just moved them to secondary locations. Then what they did is they dug out those secondary locations as well. They moved them to tertiary and even like fourth, and in some cases to fifth locations as well. A lot of people that are buried here, almost 7,000 of them, they only found like one tiny bone or something that were able to connect them with that missing person based on, of course, DNA analysis and everything else. Majority of these people here are not full skeletons. Majority of them, because they're still trying to find all these from all the people that were killed and buried around this country, around these hills that are super, super hard to get to. This movement of bodies from first to secondary to third, fourth, and fifth locations is one of the reasons that they were able to prove that it was a genocide in the first place. Because my father was in a intelligence unit on Bosnian side. So he told me some of the things, what were happening and what was... My father literally told me that they almost knew that genocide was happening here because he was stationed in Sarajevo, but he couldn't do anything. They were trying, they told all of their superiors, but it's just no one could do anything. And then what happened is all the documentation, like the main one that was used to communicate on the Serbian side, was destroyed, as you can imagine. Of course, all of it, like both primary and secondary one, were completely destroyed. But what they didn't do is, because they thought that they were not going to get caught, when they organized this cleanup and movement of all the bodies, they didn't destroy secondary documentation and transcripts for that action, for that operation. They did destroy like primary one, but the secondary one was used to prove, amongst other things, of course, that there was a genocide. Every single year, they're finding new ones. And for example, this year, they found 14 new people. So those people are going to be buried here for the first time. They have their own spots. The green ones are from the last year. So what they're going to do is this year, they're going to change these ones into white ones. They're going to give them these proper marble tombstones. And then the new ones will be buried. So for the whole year, you'll know which ones are new. Those are all the areas from where people were gathered and came to this safe zone, safe area. The ones on the left are family names. The ones here are person's name. And this was the year of birth. And as you can imagine, there's no need for birth, like year of death, because they were all killed within 5 days.
So it was the small name.
And the small name in between is their father's name. Serbs thought that this area rightfully belonged to Serbia, and they just wanted to clean it from Muslims so they can just populate it by Serbian population. That's why, unfortunately, a lot of women were also raped, because they were, as you can imagine, trying to make Serbian kids. They were just trying to populate the whole area with fresh Serbs, fresh blood, whatever. I'm not even sure how to call it properly. I don't have to translate this one, of course, but I had to do this one because it's in Bosnian. The rough translation would be, do not say for those who died on path of Allah that they're dead. No, they're alive, but you cannot sense it. Right down there is the spot where they were born, from which area they were.
Now, why is this relevant in our times? You have seen how people can dehumanize others based on ethnicity, based on religion, and once you dehumanize a people, it becomes easier to hate them and to kill them. And you know only too well the genocide that is happening in some parts of the world today. For example, in Gaza, the international community find itself once again looking on and letting this happen. Months have passed, tens of thousands and counting have lost their lives, yet there is little being done because it's all about the blame game. Who started it, when, etc, etc. But at the end of the day, innocent human lives are lost, and an even worse hatred is born inside those people who survive, so therefore we don't ever get rid of the problem. I'm hoping to educate as many young people as possible so that they can recognize these signs early and do something to prevent it from ever happening again. Thank you for watching, and please do consider subscribing to the channel so you can enjoy more educational videos like this one.